Washington, pressure is growing on Congress as survivors, and lawmakers demand the release of the long-sealed Epstein files, documents believed to expose a vast network of trafficking, corruption, and protection among the powerful. At the heart of this battle is a procedural tool in the House of Representatives known as a discharge petition. It allows members to force a vote when leadership tries to bury an issue. It needs 218 signatures, and for months, that petition has been quietly building momentum. Its goal is to compel the public release of records showing who enabled Jeffrey Epstein's global trafficking operation and who profited from it. But just as the petition approached the threshold, former President Donald Trump and current House Speaker Mike Johnson began to stall the process. Procedural delays, missing signatures, and excuses about timing and protecting survivors started to appear. Critics call these tactics deliberate attempts to keep the files sealed. Behind every day of delay, survivors say, lies another day of silence for those who lived through it. On Capitol Hill, survivors have spoken publicly, demanding transparency. One of them, Lisaphillips, a former model, shared her story calmly but powerfully. She was 17 when her life changed. A promising photo shoot led to an invitation, an island, and a man who promised mentorship and opportunity. That man was Jeffrey Epstein. She described arriving with other young girls. The laughter by the pool, the warm air, the illusion of safety. Then came the dinner, the questions that turned invasive, and the so-called massage that would change everything. She remembered the grin, the pressure, and the moment she realized she was no longer safe. When it was over, she tried to forget. She returned to New York, to work, to normal life. But Epstein did not forget. His assistants called daily, offering modeling opportunities, using her dreams as bait. They said, he thought you were special. He can help you. It became a cycle. Promises, auditions, introductions, all tools in a well-organized machine of trafficking that extended into fashion, entertainment, and politics. Lisa's story is not an isolated tragedy. It is a template for how the operation functioned, systematic, layered, and protected by influence. There were recruiters and enforcers, clients and donors, agencies and executives who looked away. There were private jets, mansions, and boardrooms. Behind them all were men who smiled for cameras while women disappeared into silence. After Epstein's death in 2019, survivors began connecting the dots. They found evidence of complicity that stretched through industries and even into government. Yet the files that could confirm their accounts remain locked away. Trump's Department of Justice refused to release key records, and his allies in Congress have continued to block public access. The Epstein estate, however, has already handed over thousands of pages, flight logs, financial ledgers, calendars, handwritten notes, even the infamous birthday book signed by powerful figures who once called Epstein their friend. Survivors ask a simple question. If the estate can cooperate, why can't the government? Trump calls the scandal a hoax and the investigations witch hunts. But survivors reject that claim. They remind the public that this is not about politics. It is about accountability. These victims are not theories or talking points. They are people with faces, names, and memories. Dismissing their pain as a political game, they say, is cruelty disguised as strategy. Trump's defenders insist the files must stay sealed to protect victims' identities. But survivors themselves have rejected that argument. They want the names of minors protected and sensitive evidence redacted. But they want the names of the men who trafficked, financed, and enabled Epstein's crimes revealed. They say the only people who fear transparency are those with something to hide. Every week of delay gives predators another week of freedom and reinforces the belief that power can outlast justice. Even now, bipartisan members of Congress have seen some of the material. The House Oversight Committee has received tens of thousands of pages from the Department of Justice and from Epstein's estate, communications, travel logs, and financial records confirming what survivors have been saying all along. This was never one man's crime. It was a network. Still, congressional leaders continue to resist a full release, citing legal caution and procedural complexity. Critics see something simpler: protection of the powerful. Trump's supporters say the media focuses too much on him and not enough on others involved. Yet observers note that if Trump truly wanted transparency, he could call for it himself. He could instruct his allies to stop blocking the vote, or stand beside survivors and say, "Let the truth out." Instead, he continues to complain about persecution while ensuring the records remain buried. The survivors are finished waiting. Many have begun documenting what they remember. Names, places, dates, faces. They are organizing their own collective record, preparing to speak out together. They are not asking for sympathy, only for accountability. Across the country, awareness is spreading. Millions of Americans who believe the Epstein scandal ended years ago are realizing it never truly did. The same circles of wealth and influence that shielded him still shape politics, media, and finance. The same people who once dismissed the case as over now argue that the files cannot be released yet. Behind each delay are survivors still waiting to hear the words, "We believe you." The Epstein files have become a test of transparency and justice in America, a test of whether institutions built to protect the public will instead protect themselves. The Department of Justice has the power to act. Congress can vote. Donald Trump could stop hiding the records. For now, the survivors wait. And the truth remains sealed, a reminder that in Washington, justice delayed is often justice denied.